This week, we continue our review of the 5 precepts about cultivating our own ethical rudder. Today, we move on to the 3rd precept, and it orients mindful, caring attention to how we relate to and treat the body, this body, the one we have. It's good to recall that the Buddha suggested these precepts to his followers in response to their misconduct, to human misconduct in all forms, nothing personal. He understood that humans have both the propensity for doing good and for causing harm. So the 3rd precept reads, aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I undertake the training to not misuse or disrespect living bodies, my own, others, and those of the natural world. And from this intention to respect, and from this, there's an intention to respect, take responsibility, and learn ways to protect the safety and integrity of all living bodies, ours, others, and the natural world, as well as our own and others' relationships. So what does this precept really mean? Well, it means that these bodies are fragile, that they are made of organic material, flesh, bone, and blood. They break, bruise, scar, hurt, ache, decay, bleed, ooze, cry, thirst, hunger, dry out, overheat, cringe, flinch, freeze in fright or cold, ingest, digest, excrete, inhale, and exhale. And they only live for about 70, 80, or 90 years, if we're lucky. So we must learn how to live in accord with their nature, to not disrespect, misuse, or abuse them. Not if we understand what the precept is pointing towards. That is, how we see, relate to, and treat our bodies impacts how we see, relate, and treat other bodies. Yet, from the time we were born, many of us have used, overused, underused, neglected, abused our bodies, sometimes knowingly, sometimes not. But for sure, they did not come with an operating manual. If we were raised in the modern world, we were educated out of our bodies and into our heads, which run the show most of the time. Most of us were not taught to treat these bodies as if precious and fleeting, and with care and respect that they deserve. We don't see our bodies as temples. Why? The other day, Bill and I took a lift to the gym in the pouring rain. And the driver got excited to tell us how now at 40, he had just started treating his body as a temple. His words. The impetus was his wife having a baby, looking at his baby and wanting to live long for them, and looking at his own body, aging, getting fat, soft, and always grumpy and tired in the morning. His words. And realized for himself that he was hurting his body by not caring for it, by drinking, by eating a diet heavy in carbs, fat, and sugar, and not exercising. And he made a swift course correction. He stopped drinking, started going to the gym, started eating healthy 6 months ago. And the result, he was so proud. The result, he showed us his lunch, boiled eggs and some avocado, a little olive oil. I don't know what else, but it was very healthy. But the result, more energy, happier, and he dropped 30 pounds. And that's the thing that he was happy about was he could see the result for himself of having begun to take care of himself. And he said, all the information is out there about what's good for us, but we don't listen. We don't listen until there's a reason to listen. Now, how true is that? How often we don't listen until we hurt ourselves, until we see with our own eyes the damage that we cause ourselves, the suffering. Yes, this precept also speaks to the misuse of sexual energy, which is everywhere. But first and foremost, it is speaking to us about how we treat this body. This body is the vehicle we use to wake up and to practice with. It is as fully operational as it is, and it is sensitive. A sentient organism that comes not with one, but with 6 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. 6. It's highly sensitive, in other words. And these sense organs are working 24/7. They never stop, but they do wear out or diminish from age or lack of proper use. It's not about getting overly identified with these bodies. That's trouble. But in these teachings, the Buddha suggested that we mine, M-I-N-E, these bodies for their innate wisdom, as this in and of itself can be liberating. And he suggested that we mind, M-I-N-D, these bodies, attend to them, care for them, as a loving elder or beneficial presence would care for them. You could say with affectionate attention, as one teacher describes it these days. So I ask, how do you care for the body you have? All of us have different bodies with different needs and different abilities. So what does your body need to run optimally, physically, mentally, and emotionally? Only you can answer this question. Only you can find or mind the answer by dropping attention inside and feeling how it's doing and what it needs. Don't just listen to what the mind says. Oh, no. It's a pro. The mind is a pro at logic, but an expert at deception. It justifies, it rationalizes, it makes up stories if you let it. This is what's called the untrained mind. Here, we're teaching the mind to be our friend and to be friendly towards its inner and outer environs. Friendly to this plot of leased land that we call a body, and by extension, friendly towards all the other external bodies, all of them. This precept is encouraging the mind to pay attention, carrying attention to what the body is doing, to how it feels, and to kindly move towards less suffering and more ease of well-being. This is for our welfare. The mind, our mind, can and likely often does ride roughshod over the body. It tells us it needs and doesn't need all kinds of things, but that will ultimately, if not immediately, cause it or us unnecessary suffering. A little more ice cream, another beer or two, another hour of playing a computer game or surfing the net or holding a grudge or a mood. The mind will push the body beyond what it can yet do. Like this is what causes many a yoga injury. Or drive it to work harder when it's already overtired and overworked. The mind is not our friend until we train it to be so. Until then, the body is at its mercy. That is, unless we turn inward and evaluate for ourselves what it needs. So, what if, just for this week, we played with the idea of tuning in to this sentient body and giving it what it needs, or at least considering it. Instead of treating it as an object of love, of hate, disdain, neglect, joy, delight, or indifference, what if we treat it as a temple just for a week? What if we tuned into what this body feels like and needs to be more comfortable in its skin? Does it need to rest and recover? Does it need to relax some of its efforting into an exertion that feels reasonable and useful and supportive to our well-being? Do we need to restrain ourselves from the mind's wish to overindulge in a pleasure or relax into it because it's easing the stress? Notice how it feels and respond in kind, as if a loving elder was guiding us. What if we just periodically dropped in on the body, checked in as if we were checking in on a loved one to see what they needed, if they needed anything that would help them to feel more comfortable and at ease? What if we treated our body as a temple, a living temple, and tended to its upkeep, cared for its well-being as if a loving elder would? How would that be? Just for a week, let's treat the body as if it was a temple, our sacred plot of leased land teeming with sensations and wisdom. Let's try. Let's play. Let's practice. And then let's see for ourselves what happens. We can do this. It's for our welfare and others' welfare. Thank you for your kind attention, all of you.